All right, let's go to our power rankings, Ron. Ron, who made your power rankings?
All right. So Kansas City, I did not change them at all. I still got them at number 1. I think they're the best team in the league. Buffalo's right next to them, though. I moved them up, but where were they last week? No, I actually had them at number 2 last week, so they still stay there. Detroit, I got number 3. I think last week I had Houston. With the loss, I dropped them a bit. I got Minnesota at number 4. They're playing well, undefeated right now. I think they deserve to be up there. Seattle, just talked about them a little bit. I moved them up because they won from 7 to 5, but I do question the teams that they're playing. 6, I got Houston, so I had them dropping from 3rd to 6. Pittsburgh, the Steelers, I finally put them inside my top 10. I got them at number 7. Atlanta, I had them at number 8 last week. I got them at number 8 this week, so no change there. Even though they lost and should have won that game, I left them exactly where they're at because again they were playing the number 1 team. Baltimore, I moved them. Actually, I kept them where they're at too. They were at number 9 last week. I got them at number 9 again, so no change. Even though they beat Dallas, and then I'm closing out. Let's see, I had Philly last week. I got Philly again at number 10. So that rounds out my top 10. I think. Listen, there's some teams that you could probably argue to put inside that mix, like New Orleans, I left out. The Jets are playing their 2-1. I left them out. I think they'll have opportunities to get in the mix, but right now those are my top 10.
Yeah, I basically, when I looked at my top 10, I made sure that none of the NFC South teams were on my list. I just don't trust them. I don't trust Atlanta. I don't trust New Orleans. I don't trust Tampa Bay. I definitely don't trust Carolina. So I made it a point that no, they're not going to be on my top 10 list.
So Atlanta, let's talk about that for a sec. You don't trust them, even though they just lost to Kansas City, right? The other loss was against the Steelers, not by much. They beat Philly, who you have at number 8.
Yeah, they got 1 victory. Philly has 2.
But how could Philly, with the 2, lost to Atlanta?
You picked Baltimore and Buffalo is number 2 on your list. So tell me how that worked out.
They haven't played yet, right? So Buffalo's 3-0 right now. I got Baltimore beating them like this week, yes, but they haven't played them yet. So for now, they're number 9.
Okay, well then that's.
If Baltimore wins, you better believe Baltimore will be ahead of Buffalo, despite Buffalo only having 1 loss.
Well, same rationale. I use the same rationale because Atlanta won because Philly had that was a bad call. Instead of I don't know why you would throw it in the 4 and when you have 4th and 1, why throw it? Nick Sirianni should be fired. Shouldn't
Atlanta have won against Kansas City this week?
Well, that was the refs. That wasn't the coaching. That was the refs.
Okay, but you're admitting that they should have won, right?
No, I'm not admitting it. I'm just saying that was a bad blown call by the refs. That's all I'm saying.
Honestly, so if the call was made, the right call was, would Atlanta not be sitting here?
No, that was a bad throw. That was a bad throw by Cousins because they hit. If the player for Kansas City turned around, that was an NIT, and you know it.
He did not turn around,
yeah,
right? So
there was no flag, and there was no flag.
But you just said it should have been a flag. It was a bad call by the official, right? So the ball should have been placed on the 1. Atlanta should have won the game, period, right?
No, that's the way the ball rolls.
They would be 2-1, and they would have beaten.
Woodby doesn't count, Ron. Woodby doesn't count.
Number 1 ranked team last year, right? Or last week. They would have beaten your number 1 ranked team last week.
Woodby doesn't count.
Okay. So you have them. They should have won against Kansas City, right? They could have won against Pittsburgh, right?
Almost but you don't have them within your Ron. Almost doesn't count. If you look at the standings, it doesn't say Philly they could have won. They could have won.
Okay, so why is Philly in and they lost to Atlanta? Explain that to me.
They played the number 1 offense and won. So to me, they're a better team. Anyways, what I was saying is no NFC South teams and no AFC South team except for Houston, which barely made it at number 10. So I got Buffalo at number 1. I got Minnesota at number 2. I got KC on number 3. So they dropped to number 3 from number 1. I have Seattle, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, Detroit, Philly, who we just talked about, New York Jets, and Houston.
What did Green Bay do to make you all of a sudden jump them into your top 10?
Because they have a good
Titans?
defense. They have a good defense.
They beat the Titans?
They beat the Titans. They have 2 victories. You have two teams with one victory. So don't tell me about why it's going to be that.
It doesn't matter. It's still like who you play. It's who you play.
And who has Baltimore lost to? Kansas City.
Yeah, exactly.
And they lost to who else? The Raiders. Explain that.
Okay, it's one team they probably should have won.
Now it's one team. Yeah,
they should have won.
See, that's what I mean. It's like,
but they beat Dallas.
Ron Context.
Right.
They lost to the Raiders.
Dallas, right?
And
they beat Dallas.
Is Dallas on your list? Is Dallas on my list? No, because they're not a top 10 team.
Okay, all right. Hey, lots of changes, will happen.
Yes.
It's only week 3. We're going into week 4. This will shuffle for sure after this week.
Oh, for sure.